Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my internet show about whitewater stuff. And today I want to talk about the Sawyer DyneLite Blade. This is my favorite blade for rowing rivers. But before I get started, I just want to point out I am a Sawyer ambassador. I help represent them and their products, and so I might skew my thinking on this. I hope not, but just want to get that out there. I really feel that Sawyer makes easily the best oars, especially blades and oars together. So I'm a big fan of this, obviously, and so hopefully that doesn't skew your thinking or my thinking. But this is a really great oar blade. It's stiff and it's light. You know, some people like their blades and their oars to bend a little bit. I don't, and we can talk about that in a different episode. I like really stiff, and it's a wood on the inside, carbon fiber on the outside. It has this white thing, which I believe is called DyneLite, and it allows you to hit it into rocks, and it takes that really well. It's a very, very hard substance around the outside. And on top of that, it has what's called a pro tip, this black tip around the outside that adds extra protection. And this is just a good overall blade. It's the basic version of the DyneLite. I do know, and I've seen personally, a lot of these break right here. So they do kind of have somewhat of a reputation for breaking right about here. A lot of people think they're weak, and they're actually ridiculously strong. You can see that this one's pretty beat up. It's been through a lot. So is this one right here. And I really think that that's because people smash them into some sort of rock. I mean, these things aren't infinitely destructible. Smash them into something, it ends up being fine, and then a day later or an hour later are rowing something easy and they break. Because the times I've seen this break are almost always in pretty easy rapids. You know, they're just rowing along and it snaps in half. And I just don't think that that's necessarily Sawyer's fault. I really think it's something earlier from just having seen it happen quite a bit. And so, but these blades do break, and they are pretty expensive. And so the one that I use is a little bit different. And you know, I've complained to Sawyer a little bit about this breaking, and I've asked them to make them stronger. This one, I think they call the extra duty, and it's a thicker layup, so there's more carbon here. And they add this pro tip all the way around. And it's a pretty thick pro tip. And I have never seen one of these break. So I just think these are incredibly durable, incredibly strong. And this is the one I would go with. If you're running hard whitewater, you know, if you're a class 4 or 5 boating, or if you're running gear boats, big heavy boats, or somewhere really rocky like low water, Tuolumne in California, hitting rocks all the time, this is the blade you want. And this is what I now am exclusively using. I have a few of these DyneLites left, these old ones, so I still use these on occasion. But you can see it's getting beat up around the outside and beat up kind of around the end. This one is an old one, and you'll see, you know, the wood's showing, and it's kind of showing around the sides here. So I just think that for longevity, and getting this extra duty full wrap is really nice. And like I said, it's a little heavier, but I mean, compared to wooden oars or anything previous to this, it's still really light. And it's somewhat expensive. I think that it's a bit spendy, so you gotta be willing to put some money into it. So the only thing I don't like about the DyneLites, I think that their branding here with a DyneLite is a little bit excessive. Putting their website on a blade, you know, I'm not a big fan of that. I think that they could have done something simpler, just written Sawyer DyneLite in small and would have been a little classier. I've gotten them to do private labeling for me, and again, it's branding, it's the same thing, so I'm maybe a little bit of a hypocrite, but you know, it's nice that my company name is on the blade, so that if I lose one, if a guide loses one and it floats downstream, people know who to get back to. So I really appreciate Sawyer being able to do this. They don't do this a lot, but I really appreciate that they're willing to do it. But it's a beautiful blade. One of the nice things too about having a blade that separates. This one, by the way, this DyneLite also has what's called I think they call it a quick set, which is a screw right here. So it's attached here, and there's just an extra screw that kind of keeps it tight. I've had some problems with them coming a little bit loose, and if you get it with the screw on the back, it's just really in there solid. This one doesn't have that. It's still in pretty tight. It's just a simple, this is the only attachment. Most people just use this, and Sawyer has this little keychain of a fish that has a bottle opener that can also be used to pull these things off. It's like a screwdriver. You know, if you're in the field, this is almost nothing to carry. I have this with me. There's a couple other tools you can have to pull these things off. You know, a screwdriver works, but it ends up stripping this plastic. And so you want to try to have one of these fish things with you, or something that's really nice. And with that, the blade pops out. And you know, the really nice thing about modern oars, where it's a separate blade and shaft, is if you break either the blade or the shaft, you only have to replace half. You know, back in the day of wooden oars or one solid oar, you break that blade, that's the entire thing's gone. And here, you can replace one part at a time. So I'm a really big fan of this setup too, just for like long-term cost. Or if you're on a trip and two different people break oars, you can combine a broken shaft with a broken blade. Again, if everybody has the same, you know, similar setup, but I've seen it happen before, and it's really nice to be able to break these spares in half. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the MX, the DyneLite blade. This is the MXG shaft. I'll talk about it another time. If you have questions about it, comments, if you like it, please like say, hey, I love that, I agree. If you don't like it, tell me why. It's probably because you probably don't like it because you've broken some right here, and it's just, you say no, it's probably your fault, even though it doesn't feel like it. You probably did something a few hours before. Or if you like something else, if you like, you know, different type of oar, or you want flex, I love to have these discussions about oars. Please add some comments down in the comment section below. And that's all for this time. See you next time. Thanks.